The Boston Red Sox have a long and bumpy loss against the Baltimore Orioles, going all the way to the 11th inning, only to fall by a score of 4-3. They get swept in two games at home on the backs of a loss to the Marlins at home, three in a row, falling to 68 wins and 59 losses on the season. I'm Nick the Voice, joined by Terry Cushman Jr. and Chris Felico, and we are the Bastards of Boston. Want more? Go to bastardsofbostonbaseball.com for great written articles. Now, it's funny, this game was so long with so many things to gripe about that I actually completely forgot for a bit about Walker Buehler. This was a Buehler start. It was more of the same. But I think we can sort of loop around to Walker. Let's just talk about what really lost us this game, and it's the offense. 0 for 13 with runners in scoring position, 3 straight innings with bases loaded and nothing to show for it. And finally, just a miserable, miserable failure, getting eaten over to third base and then having him fail to score on a potential sacrifice fly. I don't know about you guys. I would rather get thrown out at home than what actually happened tonight, which was just a pop-up by Bregman to end the game. Or was it a strikeout? I don't even remember at this point.
It was a pop-up.
Yeah, it was a pop-up. All right. So, yeah, what did you guys see tonight? What do you think?
It's very frustrating. I would agree with you. There's nothing more infuriating, especially when, like you said, we had the bases loaded, no one was hitting, couldn't get anyone over naturally without like bunting or doing something stupid. We got the guy on third, Eaton, who someone posted is like in the 95th percentile when it comes to speed, and it was going to take a perfect throw to throw him out. And of course, the guy lofts at 20 feet to the left of home plate, so he would have been safe by 3 miles, never mind a mile, and he doesn't even go. So I agree with you. I think you have to go there, especially with the way everything was breaking for us. There was a crazy stat that someone on the broadcast threw out where they were saying Duran's batting .396 with 2 outs, runners in scoring position. Meanwhile, he was the first strikeout in the first bases loaded situation. It was the 8th inning. I forgot we had so many bases loaded and couldn't come up with anything. That's a wild stat. You would never know with the pitches he was swinging at, but that is one of the. I feel like we've been saying this more recently, and it's starting to concern me. That's the worst loss now of the season, coming off of the Marlins game, which may have been the worst loss, coming off of et cetera, in recent memory. So, pretty upset right now. What's your thoughts, Terry?
3 guys on the roster tonight had no business being on the roster. First one is Nate Eaton. Second one is Abraham Toro. And the third one, I'm just going to put him in there, Masataka Yoshida. And you can say, well, this guy got injured, and that's why he's up. This guy, that guy. They're here because of all of the failures of the winter and in the month of July to address needs. That's why those guys are up here. Nate Eaton, like you said, he was brought into the game for his speed, and like you guys said, he was bunted over to third. He was on third base because of that moment, the moment where that ball went to, I thought it was far enough. I thought it was far enough into center field, but he was put into that game to go home or at least die trying. Okay. That's why he was in there. He wasn't in there to freeze. And maybe some of that's on the third base coach as well, but when you're that fast, you got to go for it. And you didn't. We would have at least went to the 12th inning had he gone home, because that ball was airmailed to the Orioles dugout, basically way offline. And I don't know what the scouting reports are on the center field or what kind of an arm he has. There's certain outfielders you don't run on. I'm not sure in that case. Abraham Toro, I mean, why is this guy here? why was he starting at first base tonight? You've got a Gold Glover. Not that Lowe wasn't in the lineup, but should have been at first. If there was ever an excuse to not have Toro in the lineup, it's after you acquire Nathaniel Lowe. And finally, Masataka Yoshida, 0 for 4, a couple of strikeouts, uncharacteristic for him. But not only was he terrible in the batter's box tonight, but he was playing in the outfield. And there were a couple of balls. One was definitely off the monster. He wasn't going to be gunning anyone down, but watching that ball come off of that noodle arm, the dude shouldn't be in a major league outfield. Like, everything tonight is all the failures to be bold, address needs, and get this team to look like a deep playoff team. Because right now, they're looking like the team we kind of thought they were in June, and they're tired. And I don't think they have enough gas to go this final stretch. Maybe they will limp into that third wild card, but the Yankees have heated back up. The Royals, I think, are only 2 or 3 games behind us in the win column after tonight. And I don't know about the Guardians, but we do have a series coming up in the next couple of weeks against them. So we'll assess that when it happens. But it's hard to not be horrified tonight. And I didn't even touch on the bases loaded debacles. 3 straight innings with the bases loaded. Nobody came home.
And the first one of those, you had bases loaded, no one out, followed by strikeout, strikeout, strikeout. I mean, this guy, which was it? It was
Garcia.
Rico Garcia is pretty much a journeyman this year. He's 31 years old. He's bounced all around. I mean, you look at his team history: 2019 Colorado Rockies, next year San Francisco, next year Baltimore, next year Oakland and Washington. Didn't even pitch in 24. This year, he's going between the Yankees, the Mets, and Baltimore. This is not some prize pitcher. You look at his changeup, people are hitting it. I think that this year, his changeup is getting hit to a tune of 333 in terms of average. This guy's changeup is not some unhittable pitch. This guy is not some high leverage arm. For us to go up there like that and just put up limp at bats, especially, I mean, I'm sorry to say it, but I mean, Jarren Duran, that was one of the worst at bats I've seen him have. Masataka Yoshida looked so lost all over the field tonight, whether it was in the field, whether it was at the plate, but especially at the plate. It was pathetic. It was miserable. This guy should not be playing left field for us. It's very debatable whether he should have a job on the team at all, like you said, and he should most certainly not be batting fifth. I mean, it's just simply disgusting. It really is. 0 for 13. I mean, runners in scoring position, this has been an issue for the Red Sox all year long. And tonight, the Orioles were begging us to just win the game. Come on, guys. Come on. We don't want to sweep you. Come on. Get back in the game. Get back in the game. And we couldn't. You know, we said, no, that's a very kind offer. We'll throw it back to you. It is just absolutely pitiful. And, you know, to Hauser's credit, out in center field, he does have a very good arm. Cora called it an impact arm. It's a very good arm. That being said, Nate Eaton is an extremely good base runner. It's really his main tool. That's what he's known for. He is a Hamilton-esque guy. You don't put him in the lineup to hit. You don't have him there for any reason other than he is going to snag a bag. If he challenged Hauser and got thrown out at home, I would say, damn, that hurt. And I mean, maybe if there's no outs on the board, maybe I agree. You wait, you don't want to, throw away your base runner. Then you have a man on third, only one out, you have another chance, blah, blah, blah. With one out, going to 2 outs, you have to try it. And it's sickening. It really is. We have had so many worse losses of the season at this point. It just seems like we keep digging deeper.
The fact is, with Nate Eaton, the Sox showed up to a standoff with a gun and didn't even fire. They just sat there and let the Orioles shoot them, and then they just fell down. Take your shot. If you get shot and die, whatever. Like you said, it hurts, sucks, but like we just watched it go. And I'm afraid at this point we might be watching more than just this game go, because as Terry just mentioned, and it's something I've been talking about in the War Room now for a bit, I'm starting to think this team could miss the playoffs. It's a realistic scenario. The Yankees are hot, and the truth is we did nothing to take advantage of when they were sinking faster than the Titanic. They hung in there. We were losing, they were losing for a little bit, then all of a sudden we've gone this little bit of a losing streak, and they're on a tear, and they've made up all that ground in which we weren't able to pad on. I have faith the Mariners will finish ahead of us just based on their roster construction at this point. And I do think the Guardians are probably a bigger threat than the Royals at this point. They always seem to find a way. We know they're not built for October, but they're built to get there. And we do have a series coming up. They're only one loss. We're only one loss less in the loss column as far as our record, but 4 ahead in the win column. So I'll tell you what, another thing, Aroldis Chapman, we don't deserve him. I never thought I would ever say those words on a Red Sox podcast, nonetheless. But we do not deserve Aroldis Chapman. The guy is absolute freaking nails. I mean, came in there, you're feeling so damn good going into that bottom of the 10th, and yet the Sox just find a way to blow it. This team very well may not make the playoffs. It looks like you said, Terry, it looks like they're running out of gas. And this is the same thing we've seen from this team. Generally, it's around the July mark, coming out of the All-Star break. Now they're going to do it going into the most important month, because September's right around the corner. I think one of our regulars here, I think it was Randy, posted, this team is only 1 game ahead of the same mark at the same point from last season. And think about how down we were on this team, same point last season, which only goes to show, which is something I've been saying the whole time, this American League sucks. It sucks. This team could easily be in the ALCS if they just pretended to give a damn. Front office down. Because we're literally only 1 game ahead. At this point, we were so far out of it, no one was thinking playoffs. We're still technically the second wild card. 1 game. Better than last year. This team needs to wake up, because if they don't, they're going to be asleep really quick. It's going to be a long off season.
I want to go back to the 9th inning for a second. And it was so much weird shit. Sorry, Charlie. Happened tonight. You had that Cade Strauder guy who's made 11 appearances, had an ERA in the low 2s, something like that. I'm like, oh crap. Okay. We're gonna face this guy. Clearly, I'm the body language guy on the podcast. He did not look comfortable in that environment. I don't know where he's made those 11 appearances yet. Perhaps a Fenway Park, Yankee Stadium type atmosphere. That's a little too much for him right now. And then Rico Garcia came in. And here's the crazy thing. He didn't start the season with the Orioles. He started the season with the Yankees, got claimed off of waivers, went to the Mets, got claimed back off of waivers again, went to New York, and now on to the Yankees, I should say. They're both New York. Went from Queens to the Bronx a couple of times. And then on August 5th, the Orioles get him. And his changeup to lefties was amazing tonight, regardless of how he's been throwing it. He seemed to mix it up more against righties, but that dude has barely kept his career alive year after year. Yet he was the one who could handle the moment in the 9th inning. It was just, and I'm not gonna lie, I'm like, who is this guy? And I tried to look him up, and he wasn't any of the Garcias on there. He wasn't the Luis Garcia from last season. He definitely wasn't Adolis Garcia. And there's one more Garcia on there who he obviously wasn't. I'm like, what's his? And before I could find out what his first name was by going to the Orioles website, the inning ended, and I'm like, man, and it was just a wonky game. And the Orioles very easily could have put up at least 3 or 4 runs on Buehler. Buehler didn't have it, and he's another guy who's just barely hanging on, and that's another thing that you're kind of looking at as you're going through these last 35 games. I mean, you're gonna ride him out till he at least gets destroyed a couple of times. I didn't think Dustin May looked particularly good last night. His sweeper, just he couldn't locate it. And I just think if teams have a more patient approach against him, he's going to be having at best a Buehler type start tonight with lots of full counts, lots of traffic. So I think the rotation is definitely something to keep an eye on. I know Kyle Harrison has kind of turned it around, and isn't there one other guy kind of on the radar? Oh, Sandlin, but he's going to go to the pen. So there's a lot to be concerned about, but the Red Sox have banked enough wins. The schedule is weak enough. I'm not ready to say they're definitely not going to make it, but they're not built for October, and they're not for a lot of the reasons we saw tonight, with a lot of the guys that are still here that have no business being here, that should have been replaced with better talent after the deadline.
The only reason that we're still in this race, it says more about the league as a whole than it says about us.
Yeah, the American League is trash.
It's ridiculous. We're very fortunate, actually. The Mariners, who went on that tear, looked like they would never lose again. They started losing again. They're 4-6 in their last 10. They lost 4 in a row. So they're in lockstep with us. The Royals, like you said, are playing very good baseball. The Guardians have been solid. I mean, the Rangers have, if you think we have it bad, the Rangers have just completely fallen off the map. But it's just incredibly frustrating because you look at the run differential. The Red Sox have the 3rd best run differential in the American League, and it just doesn't seem like it. Because at the top of this order, you have Anthony and Bregman, which is, one of the best 1-2 punches you could ask for. And then at this point, 3 through 9, you don't know what version of those guys you're going to get. Are you going to get the feisty, deep, competitive at-bats? Or are you going to get whiff central? Tonight, it was just miserable. And I'm going to tell you, Narvaez falling off a cliff has really screwed us. If Wilyer Abreu is seriously injured, needs a trip to the IL, joining Ref Snyder there, this team is in a lot of trouble. Because I don't trust Yoshida out there. I don't trust Toro out there, certainly. After tonight, I think it's obvious that Nathaniel Lowe should be the everyday first baseman. If one game is all it takes to determine that, I mean, it's just absolutely ridiculous. And one thing I want to say outside of the offense is, what did Cooper Criswell do to this front office? This guy became one of those pitchers last year that I'm a big fan of. Yeah, you've seen them. If you watch enough baseball, you've seen them no matter what team. You sort of have this journeyman type of guy, a guy you get for cheap. He comes in and he's fine. Not great, not bad. He's fine. Gives you 5 innings, good baseball, wins some games. That was Cooper Criswell last year. And I enjoyed a lot of his starts. This is a dude who averaged, I think, 4.2 innings per start, 18 starts, 85 innings pitched, a 3.49 ERA last year, a 1.2 whip. Pretty decent metrics underneath the hood. In his one start this year, he was amazing. So why are we messing around with Walker Buehler still at this point? How much more do we need to see? Why did we feel the need to pick up a Dustin May type of guy? I'm really at a loss as to why we keep giving obvious bums, no offense to them, but obvious bums chances and rope when Cooper Criswell was solid for us last year. He was solid in limited appearances or appearance singular for us this year. I just don't know what the reluctance is to give this guy a bigger shot.
Yeah, to both your guys' point, but you said something, Terry, is that this team's not built for October for the sheer reason of the players that we see getting strolled out on a nightly basis. And I think one of the most infuriating things is that this team, this organization, I should say, we have resources better than what we're strutting out there. Or I'd like to think we have to at this point. You know, like you just said, Criswell. I get baseball card. Criswell, Buehler. Buehler's the better player on their career over the course of the back of their baseball card. However, in 2025, I don't know if I can make that argument. I think Criswell starting, he's probably going to give you the same, but the potential of at this point, better starts than Buehler because I know what I'm getting out of Buehler. The one thing I could say about Buehler is if you did that and brought Criswell up, put Buehler in the pen. Because the one thing Buehler has course corrected from the beginning of the season, he's not getting roughed up in the first inning every time he comes out there for a start. So let him come out in the fifth or sixth inning after someone else either gets lit up or is starting to show signs of trouble. Because he's usually good for the first one or two, at bats through a lineup. It's the third time around that he starts to kind of show that he's getting a little bit weak and tired. So throw him in the bullpen. There's one fix. You got Kyle Harrison. He can't be any worse than Buehler at this point. He just can't. So there's another option. Like, let's see what we have there. And then as far as some of the other players, like between Toro, Yoshida, and then if Abreu is hurt, I mean, hell, bring up the password at this point. I know we're not gonna, but he couldn't be any worse than Yoshida out in the field. He definitely probably can hit better at this point. And then as far as Toro, pick one. Von Grissom or bring Campbell back up at this point. Bring those guys. I don't want to see Abraham Toro. I know Lowe is going to probably be the first baseman. I don't even want to see him utility anywhere in the infield. Let it be Romy and then one of those two guys or all three of them. I really don't give a crap at this point. But we have resources that have to be better than the dog crap that we basically strut out night after night. I mean, we just got swept at home, which we've been good at home, by the 2025 Baltimore Orioles. This team sucks. The Orioles are not a good team, specifically this year. And we just let a game slip away. And then yesterday, let's face it, pretty much non-competitive throughout most of that game. Cora really starting to get back on the hot seat for me. I mean, between this game, he should have been all over it. Like, Eaton, you are running. I don't, as long as that ball gets past the shortstop in the air, go home. Get thrown out. But didn't. And then he's got some bullcrap excuse as to why he doesn't send them. And then the Marlins game, his mismanagement of the bullpen is why we're in the situation. Is like Chapman not being able to come back out and blow that game. So a lot of things that are infuriating at this point.
I'm not going to complain about Whitlock coming out the inning after Chapman, but there is a massive difference between the two. Nobody in the batter's box is intimidated by Garrett Whitlock like they are Aroldis Chapman. They know when Aroldis Chapman is on the mound, they're up against one of the greatest closers of all time. And so why not give him a second inning? If it was only like, I think 11 or 12 pitches, go ahead. Tomorrow's an off day. Take advantage of that. And, but then Whitlock came out and he was fine. I mean, he just, got a little bit unlucky with that swinging bunt. The runner was able to come home, and that's how they got the run. No excuses. You should have been able to punch one through. In the bottom half of that inning, we did not. And so, yeah. A couple batting lines for you. Since the All-Star break, which everyday player is hitting 131 with a 159 on base?
Wait, say that again, Terry?
Which everyday hitter is hitting 131 with a 159 on base since the All-Star break?
I mean, I guess I would go with Toro out of the options.
Duran?
Carlos Narvaez.
Mm.
He's
Toro.
hurt every other week.
I mean, I consider him to be every
No, he is.
day. I mean, Wong has been better as of late, and I'm not saying he doesn't deserve starts, but and then Toro close enough, hitting 171 with a 220 on base, really just giving you almost nothing at this point. So here's the next question, and Chris, you kind of touched on it. Christian Campbell. You can put him somewhere. You can put him in the outfield because I think Abreu's going on the IL. He's got a calf problem. Cora wouldn't rule it out. I think he's going on the IL. Rob Refsnyder already is. That's half of you. That's your whole right field platoon on the injured list. And then, Duran isn't hitting well in the last week or so, and Roman Anthony looks like the next Ted Williams with a 420 on base. Just absolutely disgusting. I even thought for a split second, and that what ended up being the final inning tonight, I'm like, would they walk Anthony to go to Bregman? I mean, he had already had 2 hits, and I'm like, just imagine, the respect they would show to a 21-year-old if they intentionally walked him. But he was out. Was that the fly out? No.
Yeah. That was when.
Oh, that was the fly out. My bad. Okay. Yeah. So that was the fly out. So he didn't get on either way, but yeah. And, but anyway, back to Campbell. You can put him in the outfield because you got slots now. If Abreu does go on the IL, if you really want to get rid of Toro and you want to show you're serious, you can DFA him and you can bring up Campbell and play him at first base. That's kind of goofy. You got a Gold Glover named Nathaniel Lowe, but you could DH him. So what I'm getting at here is there's tons of ways to get Campbell into this lineup, and he's an upgrade over whoever's going to be playing right field. He's an upgrade over Toro. Romy, he might be an upgrade over Romy. I know Romy did have a pretty good game tonight, got on base, I think 4 times, but since the All-Star break, he's only hitting 234 with a 272 on base. So he's not crushing it. And I'm going to keep mentioning the tablet thing until we win 3 out of 4, but I don't have the schedule up. We've only won like 3 games since then. You won 2 against,
yeah,
2 against Miami,
once against the Padres,
and that's it. No, once against Houston, actually.
Oh, so 4.
Yeah, because we lost that game where the iPad thing got discovered, and then the next game after that. And just to be clear, I have to keep hammering on this because everyone keeps saying I'm accusing the Red Sox of cheating. No, I'm not accusing them of cheating. That was legal. I've been on record on here on social media saying that was legal. But what they exposed was how hyper-focused they are on it. And now other teams are more conscious. Oh, we're playing Boston. They got caught, well, not caught, but it was brought to everyone's attention. They're really super locked in on certain tells from pitchers, and we got to tighten it up tonight. So ever since that memo went out, we've won 3 games, and we haven't played, other than Houston, I guess, haven't been playing good teams.
Yeah, it's been really bad. And I mean, just to go back to Walker Buehler, we saw the entire bullpen tonight, and that just can't be allowed to happen. The only guy who was left to pitch was Isaiah Campbell, and we saw that Cora was actually planning on leaving Whitlock out there for a second inning rather than going to Campbell. And it's almost like the Drew Pomerantz effect, right back in 2018, how he was the only guy to not pitch in that 18-inning slog in the World Series. It's like, why do you have a guy on the roster if you don't have faith in even seeing him in the 12th inning. It's really, really bad. Fortunately tonight, I mean, Weissert was good. Matz was good. Bernardino was good. Very glad to see him escape purgatory. The problem right now is, I mean, it's a good problem to have in the essence that Slayton is looking to come back sooner rather than later. He had a great game tonight. Really, really is on pace to return, some people are saying, for this Yankees series. If that is the case, then you take Isaiah Campbell, kick him to the curb, and bring in Slayton. The bullpen gets better. But the problem there is then the only right-handers you have are Whitlock, who's good, Weissert, who's good, Slayton, who's good, and Hicks, who has 2 more years of control, and so you can't just, kick him off the team. So previously, I did think like, oh, well, let's move May or let's move Buehler to the pen, get Chris Well or even Kyle Harrison into the rotation. But at this point, you kind of have to choose who do the Red Sox want to have on the team. Obviously, it's got to be Hicks. This whole Walker Buehler thing, it's just screaming sunk cost to me. It's the sunk cost fallacy. The same thing with Yoshida. It's we're paying these guys. We need to give or get ourselves, I guess, value out of them and give them chances. And it's very frustrating to watch because it really seems like this team is committed to living or dying with Walker Buehler and Masataka Yoshida. And that's tough. That's really tough. Now, I'll admit, with Ref and Willier potentially on the IL together, I guess Yoshida is a good guy to have, better than certainly some of the other options. But it's just, it's sad how shallow this is getting, Yoshi hitting 5th, it doesn't work. Having a DH and first baseman batting 7th and 8th tonight, I think that says it all. And it's just an incredibly frustrating product to watch at this point.
Yeah, the scary thought here is that, I mean, Buehler, thank God he bet on himself because we don't have to see him next year. But Yoshida, Hicks, more than likely going to see them. Man, it wasn't too long ago when we were thinking, man, look at all these outfielders we have. Look at all this depth we have. Man, those are fun times. I don't even know what the moves are at this point, Nick, because the truth is, we just, between the three of us, speculated probably 50 potential moves. None of them are going to happen. We're going to see the same crap stroll in the Yankee Stadium, and we're going to have to hope, at best, we probably take the half, 2 out of 4. I think we probably lose 3 out of 4 in that series at this point, the way we're playing and the way they're playing.
I mean, the matchups, I would say favor the Red Sox, but we're going to Yankee Stadium. We don't play as well on the road. They're playing like their asses are on the line. That's the difference between the Yankees and the Red Sox right now. The Yankees are, and maybe this is the year Aaron Boone finally gets fired. I don't know. And maybe he knows that, and maybe he's lighting a fire under these guys to try to get them back to close to where they were in, April, May, and June. But I don't know. I would bring Campbell up. I mean, he's an upgrade over at least 2 or 3 people. You could DFA Buehler if you wanted to. It's not like you're really eating money. I mean, he's got a month left on his deal, and that's it. As far as Hicks goes, I don't know. I don't know what you do there. I mean, he can't even hold a mop right now. He pitched okay tonight, but
tell him to walk down the wrong street in the Bronx when you're down there. That's what you do.
I don't know. You can't hide a bullpen guy with no options. You can hide Yoshida, I guess. You can hide Toro a little bit. You can't be short in your pen. You have to have guys you can rely on. And so I don't know what they're going to do with Hicks, but the point I'm getting at here is I don't know if there's a mandate that was put out over the winter or perhaps even the winter before to where we're not eating money. Maybe John Henry says, absolutely not. We are not eating money. You're going to make it work. And I don't know, but they're not eating any. So you wouldn't do it with Story at this point, obviously, but it was looking like you might have to for a while. You should be doing it with Yoshida, but they're not. And so I don't know. I'm at a loss for words. I mean, this was an ugly 2-game set. We're going against a hot team. And then you got 4 more next week against the team you just played, who's clearly not afraid of you.
I got a question for both of you before we move on to the Yankees. If you could DFA Hicks or Yoshida, which one you doing?
I guess Hicks has more upside, I guess, just in the idea that relievers change so much year to year.
Yeah, and just DFAing Yoshida just closes a book on an ugly era, really.
Yeah.
And you can streamline your roster a lot better without Yoshida. So I'm taking him all day, every day, but he's owed, 36, 37 million after this season. So it feels like a longer shot, but man.
Well, that's why it was hypothetical, because we're not, like you said, we're not doing either one. But I would probably do Yoshida. It would hurt more on the economic side because of the money. But I agree with you, Nick. I think that there's a much better chance long term that Hicks is able to give you something, even if it's a flip of a coin once in a while where he has a good outing. Whereas Yoshida, I don't see him giving us much. It's going to be anything meaningful.
What a fleece job, though, by getting us to take him. Like, Posey was probably like, thank God. We're getting Devers and the Red Sox are getting Hicks.
Yeah, but you know what? It's for the exact reason that you said, Terry. Because it actually makes sense that there maybe is a mandate. Because if there is a mandate to get rid of Devers and have someone eat all the money, you were going to have to take back someone's ticking time bomb. Mm-hmm. Jordan Hicks, enter the stage.
Yeah. It's just ridiculous to think about, because I remember back when the trade happened, I remember everyone saying, oh no, Hicks, I mean, this is like a high leverage guy. This is a guy who failed as a starter, but he's going to be a high leverage bullpen arm. And we try to use him that way, and good Lord, has it bitten us.
What has Breslow gotten right since opening day? We all felt good about the roster coming in, but you're going to have problems arise, and you're going to need to come up with solutions once the season starts. So what has he gotten right?
Nathaniel Lowe has been great.
For 2 games. That's right.
At least 2 appearances, he's been phenomenal.
Yeah.
So that's my concern. The forecast is cloudy with
chance of meatballs,
chance of a Category 5 hurricane, and a couple of tornadoes and an earthquake. But I don't know where to go with this. But it's a mess, and it's self-inflicted, and you don't have a competent, experienced front office to navigate these storms as they come.
Yeah, one thing that I've seen that does bring me some concern right now is I saw an article on Christian Campbell's development down there in AAA, and they say that he's been working a lot on the holes in his game, that he's been tweaking his mechanics, and not just his mechanics, but also his sort of mentality at the plate. And as much as I like that, it does concern me, because I'm like, oh, so this is a bit of a project. So this maybe isn't a September reemergence, if we're concerned about mechanics, if we're concerned about temperament, then that is not a guy who's going to be an easy bandage to maybe give this team some life. That's a guy who, if we call him up, we risk messing with the player he could be next year, you know? So it just makes life a lot harder for us right now with this roster construction. I mean, it's just a lack of depth at certain positions that is really, really bitten us. And hopefully Nathaniel Lowe is great. Hopefully we can get past Toro and we can have him, and maybe Romy can have a bit of a resurgence. Maybe he can prove me wrong in regards to being a second baseman every day versus righties and lefties. But as it stands, it just kind of feels like we have half a lineup right now. And it's a shame because the 1 through 9 was kind of our calling card for that winning streak for those 2 good months or so. And now it's like, yeah, I mean, 1 through 2 is great. 3 through 5 is okay. And that's pretty much where we're at. It's very discouraging, honestly.
Yeah, and I don't want to get too much into Raphael, but he's hitting 194 since the All-Star break, and I wonder if second base is kind of messing with him a little bit. I mean, he has played the outfield here and there still, but
it was that or us announcing him as our MVP of the first half.
Yeah, just a lot of fool's gold that took place.
Yeah, well, with Raphael, at least you can say it's been kind of a bad month. It's easy to forget that he was lights out for June and July. I just think he looks tired out there. And it kind of makes sense. I mean, center field bouncing to second base. He's played, the vast majority of our games. He hasn't really gotten that many days off. You have to imagine it's tough for the guy's body. And this is a dude who's always been frustrated at the plate. He's a guy who's always struggled with patience. And if you add on, we're going on a losing streak, all this, it's one of those things where hopefully he can figure this out. Because I'm afraid, just like I said earlier in the season with a lot of guys, feels like maybe he's trying to do too much, and of course that's been his trademark, really. But it's just a shame because when Rafaela is the only guy that's like swinging wildly on the team, that's perfectly fine. But we've got a lot of wild swingers right now. And that is just, it's tough. It leads to games like this where you just play bad situational baseball, you're playing hero ball, and you end up hurt ultimately. 4-3 is a miserable, miserable loss for as many opportunities as we got to rack up that score.
It's a great point with Rafaela being tired because, you look at Carlos Narvaez and Rafaela, both have had to bear the brunt of playing the majority of the games. Connor Wong, you talk about how bad he was tonight, both defensively and offensively, but that's a moot point at this point. But, yeah, you think about Raphael playing in the outfield with all the depth that we have for the majority of the season, you'd think he would have had a rest. But because of our infield or lack thereof depth, he's pretty much played almost every damn game between second base and the field. And yeah, I think it's a great point that he probably is tired. It's him swinging recklessly. We can survive. We have the majority of the season to this point. But, a game like tonight, everyone was swinging wildly with the bases loaded nonetheless. Not even making contact with the ball and just swinging. Like, I think about the ninth inning, and you were talking about it, Terry, earlier in the podcast, how things broke down. We should have won the game in the ninth inning. We had ball 4 coming down there. Trevor Story swung at 2 balls. That should have been, I don't know what he was doing. I'm at a loss at this point. I don't even know what to say.
I don't really know where else to go.
I see Brad Sandler just said, so the inside scoop is that Casas was back with the team to cheer them on, but he's kryptonite. Get the guy out of here. It's a bad luck charm.
Yeah, it's a good call out, Brad. I saw the singles merchant talking to him after the game, and I was like, keep him away. Please do not let this kid talk to him because he'll ruin another career besides his own.
You know, baseball players are always superstitious. I remember, you know, Romy messing with his mustache, Bregman shaving his mustache in the middle of a game, all this stuff. If I walk into a room and we start losing, I'm like, all right, well, time to walk back out. You know, Casas, man, your heart's in the right place. Go to a bar, you know, just hang in the back, you know. I don't know. It's tough. It's really tough.
He should chaperone Hicks down that wrong street in the Bronx when we go.
He was in the dugout last night. Casas was. There were shots of him. But...
He was tonight too.
Oh, was he? Oh, I didn't see him
he
tonight.
was talking to Roman Anthony in that final inning, and I was like, oh, God.
It's really sad to say, too, that think of the fact that as much as I want to, you know, harp on about this being yet another one-run loss, the only reason it even was a one-run loss, imagine if Nate Lowe wasn't on this team. He didn't hit that bomb over the bullpen. I mean, everyone, I wish we could have seen all of our faces collectively there. Just get a snapshot of that home run, because in our group chat on Twitter, it was literally like three of us at the same time saying, what, just, huh? You know, that ball was crushed. It went 424 feet, I think, 30 out of 30 ballparks. Absolutely beautiful. And, you know, his heroics were wasted, unfortunately. Chapman's heroics were wasted. How did you like, you know, that appearance? What about that weird at bat? And I think that was actually against Kauser as well, where he threw like inside really heavy 4 balls in a row to walk him. And I was like, uh-oh, is Chapman, you know, losing control? And then he's like, no, that was just part of the plan, apparently. I mean, it just sucks to see guys step up and ultimately have a relatively lifeless performance as a team. Like, those guys tried. Chapman tried. Weiser tried. Bernardino tried. Lowe tried. Even Connor Wong got 2 hits. But the rest of the team collectively, it was just a huge letdown. And I don't know. I mean, 0 for 13. How many times can I say it? That is just one of the most disgusting numbers I've ever seen.
Yeah, I mean, 3 straight innings with the bases loaded. One of them no outs when they were loaded, and you just couldn't get it done. And as much as I don't like Dave O'Brien, and I'm still praying to God that he's not here next year, he did make a good point when he said, you know, Nathaniel Lowe is just sick of losing. You know, he didn't have much to play for this year being in Washington. And so when you bring him up in that moment, and there was a leadoff walk, I forget who took that walk before him, but gets to first base, and then Lowe comes up and just hits an absolute piss missile. Like, he was the perfect guy for that moment. And, you know, he got it done. And you had another guy fail in a moment, Nate Eaton. And so it all went to waste. So I don't know what Nathaniel Lowe is going to do here in Boston, but he gave it his best tonight. And maybe, I don't know, maybe he got a rude awakening on what Boston is really like in August and eventually September.
Yeah, it's brutal. I mean, we were waiting for an August collapse. It just came a little late. I'm really hoping that we can bounce back. I mean, it's going to be a heck of a test. This team has done it before. This team has proved me wrong before. We've gone on great winning streaks against great teams. This is the team that swept the Astros, beat the Yankees, beat the Rays, all of these great heroics across June and July and even the very beginning of August. But this is just tough. This team looks like it needs a break. And thank goodness we have a day off tomorrow, where we can just go out and hopefully catch our breath, because this team needs an injection of something. And I'm not talking the Barry Bonds special, all right? Although that might help too. I am talking just an injection of fire, of drive. Just go in there and figure out where that spark is. What was the thing, the catalyst? This team was having so much fun, last month. Find that again and try to bounce back over the next 8 games. If you don't, you're letting the Guardians, the Royals, the Mariners, the Yankees creep up on you. And it is totally possible. Just like I said, this league is weak. It's anyone's game, but it's anyone's game. That means we're not a shoo-in. We're not locked in. We need something new.
I think that with the potential of an August collapse and potentially missing the playoffs, I think Cora's got to be on the hot seat. If we miss the playoffs with everything that has happened to this point, right? 10-game win streaks, 7-game win streaks, 8-game win streaks, what should have been like a 10-game lead over the Yankees in the middle of their Titanic moment for 3 months, to all basically now be a game behind them for the first wild card. And so many moments where we could have been nipping at the heels of the Toronto Blue Jays and possibly being in contention for the AL East. And this team is going to be fighting for its life for that third wild card. If we don't get it, Cora needs to go. I don't want to be so bold in saying that, but I'm sorry. We've missed the playoffs. Did he have enough talent? We could go back and forth for years on this. The reality is he didn't make the playoffs. He has a team good enough to make the playoffs. How far they go, debatable, but it's good enough to make the playoffs. I don't think anyone would disagree with that at this point. And there's a real chance that if he doesn't get it together and this team doesn't get it together, they will miss the playoffs for, what is it, the 5th straight year, 6 out of the last 7? He's got to feel the heat, because you said, Terry, that maybe Boone feels that, and it would be crazy on a year where they actually signed him to an extension, the Yankees, they would fire him. But gun to my head, I would have more faith the Yankees would pull the trigger than the Sox. And to be honest, out of the two, as infuriating as Yankees fans are with Boone for the stupidity that he brings to that organization, he makes the playoffs almost every damn year. He was just in the World Series. Cora is long removed from a World Series. Hell, long removed from a playoff appearance at this point in Boston. It's time, Alex. Figure it out or get out.
I think you just have to hit the reset button totally. New executive, new manager. Just have a totally different vibe, going into next year. I don't think that's been done since since Epstein took over. Did he take over in 03 or 04? I don't remember. Maybe he inherited Grady Little, but
I think he did.
Okay. Yeah. So maybe it hasn't happened, but that's what it would take, new executive, new manager, new energy, and then see what happens. But this platoon dynasty, even that part of it's crumbling now. Like the platoons are crumbling. I just don't see how you could do it. You're back into the rotation is barely hanging on. Your bullpen theoretically should be fine with Bernardino back and Slayton back probably tomorrow, 2 days from now rather. But so I don't know.
Yeah,
it's a mess.
One thing I did want to bring up too is this idea that it's so ridiculous, right? Let's say we do get into the playoffs, which, you look at the websites, they say we have a good chance, but they don't know us. The algorithm doesn't know us. But honestly, Crochet, Giolito, Bayo, that's a good 1 through 3. Where is Walker Buehler right now? Is he on the playoff roster? I mean, between him and Dustin May, I don't even know. I would unironically rather have Cooper Criswell out there as my number 4 starter in the playoffs than either of those guys right now. So I'm just not sure what the plan is.
I think Buehler has just been gutting it out. And I think he's a smart veteran guy, and he's finding ways to not get killed. And I think they're just going to keep riding that until, if he can't get to the 5th inning anymore, then that could be it. But I don't know. I mean, that rotation and that offense is pretty ominous.
I think with Walker Buehler, if we made the playoffs, it's a situation where you're going to constantly have to take his temperature, right? You're going to put him out there, see what he's got, but it's going to be with the understanding that there's a contingency plan. As soon as he starts to show any signs of trouble, you're going to have a quick hook with him. Because who knows? I mean, you can get a Walker Buehler that looks like playoffs last year. You can get a guy that can go, theoretically can go 6 or 7 and give you scoreless 1-run, maybe 2-run ball. And that's good enough in the playoffs. But he's also the same guy that could give you 2 innings, 3 innings, and be shelled if you don't keep a close eye and keep your fingers on the pulse. So I think it's a matter of sticking him out there, seeing what he's got, and having a plan.
Yeah, I suppose at this point, I mean, maybe I'm buying into the sunk cost fallacy. Maybe I'm at the point where, oh no, just a couple more starts and he's going to turn a corner. I mean, if you got the guy for his October experience, I suppose you have to let him play in October. It's just a really scary proposition to make at this point. It's tough. It's really tough. I mean, this team needs a shakeup, and it needs to get healthy. I mean, every team ultimately deals with injuries. There's no excuse, in that. The Dodgers are injured every year, and they always do it. The Yankees get banged up every year. They always do it. We've got to do the same thing. But when we do get to October, I'm going to feel very differently based off of who's there with us. Abreu, Ref Snyder, Slayton, etc.
You know what's funny is I would, like right now, I'd rather see Criswell getting to October. Once I'm there, there's still a part of me that says you have to go with Walker Buehler, because even if Criswell pitched well now, getting there and being there is 2 different things. I don't necessarily know if I trust Cooper Criswell in the playoffs yet. Whereas what I can say is that Walker Buehler has enough playoff experience that he's earned the right to at least get a look.
I don't know. I mean, I think Cora is going to have a huge impact on what that 5th starter is going to look like. But I don't know. I really think we've banked enough wins to get in. I mean, we've questioned whether or not we can do it, but I think we can. I think we're going to make it. It's going to be a tough week. I mean, if we drop 6 of the next 8, then maybe I'll reconsider. But even if you go 500 over the next 8, I think that's reasonable. And you've got the Diamondbacks coming up, and they're not, I know they sold off some guys, but that's still a team that can pitch. It's a team that can hit. As Jules pointed out, they're up 6-4 right now against Cleveland. That helps us. But yeah, I mean, it was an emotional 2 games. I don't feel good. I mean, limping into the playoffs in that 3rd wild card seed doesn't really do a lot for me. So,
yeah, I agree. I mean, I do think we have a good shot at the playoffs, because as much as I want to look at our schedule and say, oh, well, we've got 3 against Detroit, 7 against the Yankees, 3 against Toronto. You look at like Cleveland's schedule, they've got 6 against Detroit, 4 against, the Royals, 3 against the Mariners. So just about every team really is going to have their struggles in this wild card race. At this point, it's probably down to 8 teams or so, but between the division winners and obviously the wild card, that have a good shot. Maybe 9, I guess. I don't know. I would probably say 8, but it's just gonna, you need to go there and deliver. That's just what it comes down to. You need to show up. I had a bad feeling a few weeks ago about some of these games. I was like, the Marlins are playing hot. The Astros are going to want revenge. The Orioles have been playing better baseball. So far, those things have come to fruition. Hopefully, we can, over the next 8 games, like I said, like we've all said, hopefully we can turn it around, because if not, it's brutal. It's brutal. At this point, every win is a necessity. You can't do what you did in the Crochet start. You can't do what you did tonight. We have to have all of our bad losses out of the way at this point. Because if we keep manufacturing them, we are going to miss the playoffs. So it's just one of those things. You have to show up and deliver. And the Red Sox will hopefully improve on that.
The Sox of this season, they've been interesting in the sense that when we, because you think about the Marlins, right? Even the Astros and the Padres, when we got them, we were like, oh, we're getting them at the right time. They still beat us. Right now, we took 2 or 3 from the Marlins, but they should have never got that one game. But it seems like when the Sox get teams, when we are like, oh man, they're going to smoke us. Like I remember when we got the Yankees early in the season, I was like, we're going to get swept. Took 2 or 3. Oh, they're definitely going to sweep us now. We swept them. So they've shown this propensity to have the ability to get into series where you think they have no shot and sweep a team or win the series. So would it shock me if they do? No, but it also wouldn't shock me if they get swept. Like to your point, Terry, I almost fully expect to go 2-6 in the next 8. Because coming into this Orioles, we were like, oh, all right, we got the Orioles, and then we got the Yankees, and we got Orioles 4. You're at least getting 4 or 5 wins between the 2 Orioles series. Just split with the Yankees, you're in good shape. Well, we just got swept. So anything's on the table and everything's on the table.
Well, we'll see. I mean, we don't have the momentum, so.
Yeah. Should we go to probable matchups then?
Yeah, we're pushing an hour, over an hour.
Alrighty. So, thankfully, after a day off, we will be going to the Bronx. We have a Thursday night game, 7:15 p.m. start time, Eastern Daylight Time. That should be Lucas Giolito versus Hill on the mound for the Yankees. On Friday, a 7:05 start, Brian Bayo versus Max Fried. Then a Saturday 1:05 p.m. start. That will be Garrett Crochet versus Will Warren. And then Sunday, a 7:10 p.m. start on ESPN, actually. That will be Dustin May versus Carlos Rodon. How are we feeling about this? 2 primetime games, actually. I should have mentioned that Thursday is on Fox.
It's hard to really. You've got all your best guys going, so the Max Fried game. On paper, dude's an ace, but I don't. I think you can split here for sure.
I think split's probably best case scenario. The way our offense has been going. Fried's been roughed up a couple of times in his last couple starts, but you got to hit the ball for that to happen. And you got to put people, across the bases when the bases are loaded and coming to the plate. That's for sure. But I have a weird feeling that it's going to be a split, and I think we might take the first 2. I have a really bad feeling about the Crochet start. I don't know why. I also don't think he pitched necessarily well in Yankee Stadium when we first were there. So, and then we all know, obviously, how it went when he was in Fenway and him, getting that extra inning in the 9th inning. So,
yeah, I think best case scenario, I could see a scenario in which this team, if we show up, if they don't, I could see us going 3-1. I think I'm going to call a 2-2 split. I sort of like the Giolito versus Hill matchup. I like the Crochet versus Warren matchup. The Bayo versus Fried could go either way. Dustin May, I mean, if there's ever a time for a true primetime performance, it's going to be versus Carlos Rodon. I'll be somewhat optimistic here. I'll say 2-2, and then it's on to Baltimore. So,
the
yeah.
only pitcher that looks bad so far is ironically Max Fried. He's given up 4 or more earned runs in his last 3, but Luis Heel is coming off of 2 good starts, so I'm not sure how that bodes for Giolito. I'm not sure how Bayo is going to pitch at Yankee Stadium, but he's been pitching a lot better than Fried. Warren has been pretty solid, and Rodon has been lights out. One of the best pitchers in baseball. Probably, I don't know, since mid-July or so. So, and he could easily, you talk about those 12 to 14 strikeout games, that could be it. One guy, though, if you want like an epic 9th inning, Devin Williams, I don't know if they're still using him in the 9th, but that could set up a dramatic finish if we do face him.
Yeah. Really my last thought on the whole thing is the only thing, ironically enough, that is causing me the most concern is the fact that we thwomped the Yankees so much earlier in the season that, going up 5-1 against a good team, it's really hard to keep up that type of pace. If we end this series and, we're 7-3, I guess, let's say we split, I mean, that'll be great, on a whole season, even if it doesn't feel as good as a 3-1 or obviously a sweep would. It would be a big success just to regain our footing and regain some morale, hopefully, because, as we noted, I think a lot of the guys on the team right now could use the boost.
Yeah, but an important thing to keep in mind here is it matters more than it did earlier in the year. I mean, it's a dogfight right now for these wild card spots, and the Yankees know that. They're kind of fighting for their life, but I mean, you got Aaron Judge. He's going to be a big threat. I know we strike him out quite a bit, so we'll see. Cody Bellinger. They've got a lot of guys that can hurt us. Paul Goldschmidt's kind of tailed off a little bit, but I would take nothing for granted. That's what I said with this Baltimore series just yesterday before the first game. I said, worst case is probably a split, but take nothing for granted. They got a lot of young talent that in that lineup, and that Basillo guy, their catcher prospect, he pinch hit today and then came into the game. He's their number 1 prospect. And, Jackson Holiday isn't trash this year, and we're going to see him all next week again anyway, but I'm not taking anything for granted.
Yeah. Closing thoughts, Chris?
Enjoy the day off tomorrow.
Definitely. So, yeah. What was that, Terry?
I was going to say, I think it's Charlie and Jeremy tomorrow night. So that'll be hot takes. I'm sure they'll have plenty to say.
Oh, most definitely.
Oh, we're not off. I meant the Red Sox. They need to enjoy the day off.
Yeah, no, I know. But it won't be post-game rants.
Yeah.
Thank God.
I'm sure after this stretch, there will be a lot of interesting hot takes to cover. So, thank you, everyone, for watching, joining, listening. We really appreciate it. Quite a long show tonight. Only seems right after such a long game. I've been Nick, joined by Terry and Chris. We have been the Bastards of Boston. Thank you,